Order in the court.
Hello, and welcome to another video podcast.
Don't do that. This is gross.
If you feel like a grape and you only have raisins,
Don't do that.
you have two nostrils.
This wins the most disgusting episode so far.
It's something that I still do, and I still do it and love it.
Don't do that.
Look, awards are great. Some are obviously more prestigious than others.
This month, coming up right here on this podcast.
Speaking of things that you may not want to know,
Come sit in somebody's lap.
Don't do that.
People know I hire talent sometimes, so I get 500 business cards at the conference too. Guess what? They stay in the room when I leave.
They wanted a British accent.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
And I don't have any samples with a British accent. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another VO podcast.
And welcome back. It's another VO podcast. And this week we are honored again to carry on a lot of guests here at the end of the year and first of the year. And we're really happy to do that. This one's kind of taking a dual direction. And I at first I said, I'm not even going to try to say it because I know everybody goofs up your last name, but I think I got it pretty close. It's Rob Sciglimpaglia.
Nice.
Okay.
First try.
How's that?
How long
from
did
that?
you practice for that, Troy? How
Hey
long?
man, a lot more than I did for that recent pharmaceutical spot. Yeah. Rob, welcome. We're so glad to have you. Jake and Alden are here, and we want to talk both sides. You have a history as a voice actor, as an on-screen actor. You are also an entertainment attorney. I know you do real estate, workers' comp, other stuff as well. A SAG-AFTRA actor and voice actor. You have the book out called Voice Over Legal. You kind of started your VO trek, if I remember correctly, what I looked at around 2005. You've had some recognizable spots. You had a Super Bowl commercial in 2012 where you played the straight man. And I remembered it because I remembered the kid, how much he yelled. But till I went back and watched it recently and focused on your part, what a great straight part he played. It was really, really good. And, and I just love it when he just said, don't worry, he'll be done in a minute and all that stuff. It was just really good. If you haven't seen that, go to his website and look that up. It's really good. One of the things you may not know about Rob is he went to Eckerd College in St. Petersburg on a baseball scholarship. We've kind of got that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, we've got some baseball in common. I had a scholarship to go down to Florida and blew a knee out. And, of course, they said, nope, you don't get that now.
Yeah, I know the story. I threw out my arm, but I came back and played UConn. So.
Wow.
Okay.
What position did you play?
I played outfield.
Outfield, okay.
Left field.
Cool. Left field.
Yeah,
Left field in college.
I was a catcher. That's where all the short guys end up, I think. If you're under 5'8", 5'9", you end up catching.
Come on, just put a brace on your knee. Get back behind the plate, blowing out your knee. Give me a break.
I know. I tell you what I did, Rob. I did this in 11th grade. So there was a local college here, Middle Tennessee State University, had a really good baseball program, and they had a walk-on day. And I thought I had rehabbed well enough to go play. The thing that I didn't realize from 11th grade to college was the pitching was a whole lot different. So they put all of us walk-ons in the dugout, one dugout. We were playing against the varsity, and we hit first, and the coach, where do you normally hit in the lineup? I said, I used to hit third or fourth always. He put me in third. I got up there, the first pitch came in, and I'm like, holy Jesus, is that ball moving? I mean, I was probably seeing 50, 60 mile an hour in high school, and then here comes a guy at 85, 90 maybe.
Sheesh.
Different world.
I thought, you've always been able to see the ball, time it up, hit the ball. It's not that hard. Yeah. Next pitch, I drilled it. It's headed toward right center. I think it's gone. I had to speed up a little when I turned first because it hit the warning track and I thought it was going to go. So I was going to try to stretch it to a double and my knee went out right when I made the turn at first.
That's the problem is the running. That's always the problem.
Yeah.
So even though I still play and I'm 58 years old, I still play, but that's the running part that is not the fun part about it.
Yeah. And they didn't rehab you back in 1980 like they rehab people now. It was a little different back then. The surgeries were rougher and all that. So let's get into the nuts and bolts. And we're probably just going to throw some stuff out there and hear your knowledge on some of this stuff outside of even the VO work. I guess in the last several years, and I know JMC was on just a while back, and he talked about how pay to play had changed and such as that. One of the questions that I had, and these guys will probably have questions along the same lines. When we are booking these jobs on these pay to plays, 9 times out of 10, there's no contracts, there's no agreements. It's whatever the terms and conditions are on that platform. What else should we be doing to protect ourselves?
I mean, it's just because you're booking it on the platform using their terms of service doesn't mean that you can't send in a contract to the client.
Right.
It also, you can also fill things in on the on the screen where it tells you the details of the job.
Mhm.
Yeah, right on the proposal itself. You can put terms in there. And I would for certain. There's certain jobs that I see on there. I'd be like, raise a lot of red flags, and I'd be either I wouldn't be putting the audition in at all, or I would be putting a lot of conditions in. Especially now with AI.
Oh yeah.
So you got to like you really should have a rider on every single contract now, saying that, or have a contract to say that they're not going to use your files for AI,
Right.
because they can do it. They can do it just for that job if they wanted to. The project that you're auditioning for or get the job on, they could just take your voice and just take the AI and change whatever you said.
Right.
They can, so just for that, it's a. I mean, for that gig, it's not as bad if they take it and use it for other things. But I still would want to know if they're going to use my files and then alter
100%.
them through AI for that gig too. So
Right. And it doesn't take as much as it used to from everything we're hearing. Used to it was like, oh, we need almost an hour. But no, you're hearing now a minute or two.
1 minute. Yeah, actually, I got a little something I want to show you here on my phone.
Oh man.
Okay.
So,
Because I'd heard 3 minutes. That's even 1 minute. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
they only need one. They don't even need a minute really. Now they only need. So the more that they have, the better the clone's going to sound.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
That's
Right.
the thing. But
Right.
hold on, let me just pull this up.
And
My Speechify, myvoice.speechify.com.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys get a chance, go play with it. You can just hit the import my voice, talk in here for a minute, or you can just pull a file up that you already have.
Mm-hmm.
So I put a file in here I have a 1 minute audio book sample that I put in here, right? And then you just hit the generate audio button, and it'll read the script that you can post the script in there. So I'll just let you see what it sounds like when
Oh my.
when it's done importing.
Amazing.
And what's the website?
That's
myvoice.speechify.com.
myvoice.speechify.
Yeah, it's scary.
It's cookie right now, but I'll let you know when it finishes. I'll play it so you can hear that. You compare it to how I'm talking now, and you'll see how scary it is.
Yeah, yeah, very.
There it is.
I have
Here. Hold on.
Partnering with Speechify allowed me to clone my own voice, making it faster than ever to create new audio and video content. If you're a content creator, podcaster, video editor, or anyone else looking to elevate your projects with top-notch voiceovers, I highly recommend giving Speechify a try. Thanks to Speechify, I can now confidently deliver outstanding results every time.
That was based on that was just a 1 minute sample.
Yeah.
Like you do, or I guess it's a 3 minute thing. They take the sample of an audio book and they use it to sell it. I put that up there, and that's what came out of it.
I could still hear I could still really hear the telltale cadence of AI though.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's something that even with more speech, it takes longer, I think, to weed that AI cadence out.
Well, that's based on that's what I was saying. So the more sample you give, the less of that cadence that you're going to hear, the more natural it's going to sound. That's only 3 minutes of my speech.
Golly, that's crazy.
And
it is.
I mean, you can fool somebody with that. That's that's like a free thing that you get over the internet.
Yeah.
That's not the big programs that they use when these guys are doing AI on the professional jobs. So.
And as we hear all the time, it's good enough for some jobs, and for some things, it is good enough.
Sure.
I know there's places the human voice just, they can't, it's not going to be replaced, but there is a lot of places that something like that is good enough. And Alden, you had brought this up before, companies turning to it a lot more for training and stuff. And we sometimes think, well, if they don't care anymore about their employees to provide a real voice, it seems very unfair, but it is what it is. It's a budget.
I think it talks about, I think it's a telltale of their priority. Their priority is saving money.
Sure.
Using AI. So what are they communicating to their employees? Our priority is not quality. Our priority is cheap.
Right.
And so you're building a cheap, employee base that doesn't really care about value oftentimes.
Right. Right. I have had good luck using an AI writer. I have not once had pushback. It's been very successful, and it's been a lot of times where they provided a contract and I went through it, looked at it, added the writer, have marked some stuff through or whatever, and I've not really had much pushback from clients yet. I think they're learning as well. So.
Yeah, most of the time they're like, "Oh, we're not going to clone your voice. We never even thought of that." And so they just, they sign it because they have no intention of doing it. But the ones that maybe have it in the back of their mind, or maybe they're a little deceitful, and then they're the ones that are going to push back harder. So
sure, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, another thing we see on there a lot on pay to plays relates to usage and exclusivity. A lot of the newer voice actors do not know, they do not understand, they don't not pay, or they just don't pay attention to these TTS jobs, and you'll still see them get 15, 20 auditions. Tell us a little bit about those two things and why it's not good to do those jobs.
I mean, so you should, obviously you want to limit in perpetuity exclusivity jobs as much as you can, because it just, number one, there's no one that's going to use anything in perpetuity. Right? Because just think about it. No one survives forever. Like it's a finite. We're all finite beings. We're only here for a small period of time. So, no one's going to use anything in perpetuity. It's ridiculous. So, what it means is just the client, they don't know what they want to do. With they're just trying to keep their options open. So,
but they want to own your voice.
They want to just do whatever they, use it however they want later on and figure it out later on. So you got to nail it down as to how they're going to use the voice and how they're going to use their file and how long they're going to use it for, because, some of them time out themselves, like if it's a Christmas 2023 special, you're doing the commercials. Well, okay, fine. You can have it in perpetuity because they're not going to use it. I mean, they can't use it again. I'd have to change it. Or they'd have to change it by AI for 2024, right? So, but for the most part, you don't want them to be able to take your file and use it for anything they want forever, right? So, and it affects exclusivity, because if you have a commercial that's airing, say for Coke, and you gave them in perpetuity rights, and then they start airing it again next year and the year after, that means you can't do anything for any other carbonated beverage, Pepsi or anything else, while that it's airing. So, and with non-union, the lines are so blurred now, because like union, it used to be for commercials. That's why you had 13-week cycles, and that's why they paid residuals through that, so you get paid for not being able to voice other similar types of spots. But now, non-union, what happens if they use it for an e-learning thing? And it's e-learning on YouTube. Is that considered? And like say it's you're training Coke employees on how to do something, and then you want to do a job for Pepsi, and Pepsi's like, no, we need exclusivity. Do you have anything that you did for another company? And you did this e-learning thing. It's not a commercial, which traditionally wouldn't be in conflict. But now, who knows?
Right.
If you gave imperp to them, right? In perpetuity rights, who knows if that's considered to be a conflict or it's affecting exclusivity. So that's why it's important to nail these terms down, so you don't have to deal with those issues.
It really is, and we can't count on the pay-to-play sites to organize that for us, because they are posting and promoting all these in perpetuity jobs, and they're counting on the talent to discern that and not do it if they don't want to do it.
They just take the terms that the clients give them and post it.
Right, right.
They don't really do anything about
right.
altering them or weeding them out. Or I mean, they try to weed out fraud and scams. That's
Sure.
fine, and those slip through too.
Yeah.
Right. So
right.
if those are slipping through, they're not going to care about exclusivity and things like that. Those are things that the actor have to care about themselves.
Yep.
And those they have to address it themselves.
And to educate the client on what you were just talking about regarding exclusivity versus in perpetuity, that onus is on the talent to educate the client.
Exactly.
Not the pay-to-play side.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And if you talk to agents, they'll tell you the same thing. Nobody uses anything in perpetuity. So let's just figure out what you want to use it for, how long, and then we'll figure out a fair price for you.
Right.
Because it's things are going to have a shelf life. They're not going to last forever. So let's just figure out what that is, and then it's much easier to price it. So
I think a lot of these clients on the pay-to-plays, because it's easy to go in there and click a box, and they just click that perpetuity box or that, whatever, because it covers everything and they don't have to worry about it. Exactly. I don't know how many things I've seen lately. Like you said, they cover this Christmas. It's a Christmas thing. And it says, online in perpetuity. No, it's not. It's not even worldwide. They're just playing it in their office. And sometimes you read through that. And like you said, stick it in the proposal. This is only good for so many or a year or whatever.
Right.
Let's touch a little bit about liability as a voice actor, because I had heard a story about, and I don't know if it was true or not, about someone had gotten sued over something that they had voiced because of slander. And how do we as voice actors protect ourselves, or what should we do? Should we be carrying some kind of liability insurance? What should we be doing?
So what you want to do is make sure in your contract that the client indemnifies you. So make sure there's an indemnification clause, indemnification and hold harmless clause in the contract that says if you get sued, the client's going to take care of it. They're gonna pay for it. They're gonna hire the lawyer. They're gonna pay if there's any judgment, right? Because that's not your slander is not you. You're just reading what someone wrote,
right?
So but the way slander law works is it doesn't matter if you spoke it and someone else wrote it. You still could be sued and still be held responsible for slander because you're the one that spoke. You're the one that spoke the words. So business insurance covers that too. Business insurance does cover libel and slander. So that will be one reason to get it if you're concerned. But you don't really need to get business insurance. Because if you just just make sure that you're looking at what the script is saying, and if it seems like it's false, seems like it's not true, then you got to make sure that the client's going to take care of it because their insurance will take care of it, not yours.
Right.
So, but you can get any business policy. Well, most business policies cover slander, so that would be one reason to get a business policy. Which would cover all business liability. So, like if you had someone come to your home studio and they fell or something like that, your business insurance would cover it. You wouldn't have to worry about if your homeowners covers it or not.
Yeah. Right. Makes sense. I see a lot of user-generated content or whatever these are where people are going on doing these, what I'd call a false testimonial and stuff like that would scare me to death.
Yes. Anytime you're talking about you're promoting a product. So I had a client that this happened to as well. So he got hired off of Fiverr, and they wanted him to play the CEO of this crypto fund company. So he was acting like, okay, this crypto fund is great. It's going to get you 100,000% return, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then it was a scam. So it wasn't a company. It was just a scam. So they all these people got their invested their money, and it was gone. So he was the face of the company that didn't exist. So a whole bunch of people, they were flaming him online. They were making claims against him, all kinds of stuff that he had to deal with. And of course, our platform didn't do anything about it. They didn't care. It's like we were just talking about. So, so he had to deal with that himself. So, whenever you're get a script and you're playing a CEO, you're playing another person, you're making testimonials about products, those are where the red flags should pop up.
Right.
Because unless you know for a fact that what you're saying is true,
Mm-hmm.
And if something turns out to be false, you can be held. They can sue you.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
I guess that would even come down to these video sales letter things where you read the big long thing about tinnitus, and I went over to another country and I went and got all these natural supplements and put them together, and now I'm selling these capsules,
Absolutely.
for so much. And that stuff scares me. And when I first got into this, I was naive. I would do them. I didn't know any better, but thank goodness.
Those are the kind of scripts that could get you in trouble if you're exaggerating the effects of a medicine, or saying that some herb cures cancer or something like that. Like you can really get in trouble for that kind of stuff. And plus, like I said, what happens if it really is just a scam and there's no company behind it?
Yeah.
Somebody just sent you a script and they're just a scammer. Then you're the one holding the whole bag. There's there's no indemnification in that case.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Well, I think
that would
of
be
the
a good
early-
reason to get insurance. Like, so if you got a script like that, then go buy the insurance to cover yourself, and then read it. So
if you're out there doing all that user generated content, you better get a policy. You better be covered.
It makes me
Better
think
be
of
safe.
the early part of when that Sam Beckman-Fried scandal all came into being. We were looking at the actors that were like Larry David, and even I think Tom Brady was a part of that.
Tom Brady was
not an
big part
actor,
of
but
that.
he was a spokesman for that company, and it looked like they were in some serious hot water for a while.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
It was like the first case I ever heard about that was Robin Leach. Remember Robin Leach?
Yep.
Lifestyles Rich and Famous.
Oh yeah.
Rich and famous.
And he was pitching some kind of product like we were just talking about, and it turned out to be false, and he got sued. And I think he went bankrupt because of that.
I do remember that.
My goodness.
That's terrifying, dude. If you don't know what you're doing, that's terrifying.
Yeah. Another thing that had come up recently in the group, and I know you had commented on it, and I don't remember which group it was in, and I think you and I both had commented on it. It had a lot to do with people who love to make video demos. And
yes.
And that's very understandable. A lot of people do that, but a lot of people do early on. They think, oh, it's okay just to duplicate the original and et cetera, et cetera. And, I think what we were trying to get across to people is, no, that's not okay. You can get in trouble for that. And there is a different way to do it and et cetera, when you're making demos, as in hiring a copywriter and doing your own stuff and having someone do that professionally that knows what they're doing and keeping you out of trouble. But elaborate a little bit on that, because I know we had mentioned someone had, I had heard of people getting a cease and desist and having to take things down, but I hadn't heard of anybody going any further than that, I guess, because they acted. But does that happen quite often, or how does that work out?
Yeah. So what you're talking about is, so let's just use my Super Bowl commercial for an example.
Okay.
Like, say someone wanted to recreate that whole Super Bowl commercial and then post it up online, or use the original, all the pictures, and just change the voices, right? Because that's what they do with the video demos. They'll use the original pictures, and then they'll take the original voiceover off and put their voice on as a demo. So whoever created those pictures has a copyright on it, right? That's their property. So this is one of the things that I see people don't understand about copyright is they think there's like some copyright police that come out of the sky and like bust you and put you in jail if you violate copyright. And that's not how it works. The person that created that work is the one that can come after you, right? So it's not like the government's going to come and arrest you or anything like that. It's the person that created that work. So there's no way of knowing when you swipe someone's picture, video, if they're going to come after you or not. Right? There's no way of knowing that. So obviously, if you swipe someone's picture and use it and put your voice over it, of course they can come after you. Why wouldn't they be able to? Yeah. So I see all these arguments that that's fair use. That's fair use. We're allowed to do it through fair use. Well, fair use is a defense to copyright. So that means if you're arguing fair use, you're already lost, because you're sitting in a court in the defendant's table with a judge in front of you, paying $20,000 to your lawyer, arguing fair use, right? Because you have to say it meets the 4 criteria that the Supreme Court set for fair use. The first one is it's not a commercial purpose. That's the first one. So I don't know what voiceover artists that created a video demo to show what they could do so they get hired could say, I'm not using this for commercial purpose. I don't know how you could use that as defense, but that's the first one. And then the other ones are, if it's far enough, there's a change enough so it's transformative. There's three other ones, but the number one, part of the fair use test is that it's not for commercial purposes. So I can't tell somebody that when they come to me and show me, oh, look, I used Toyota commercial. I used all the video and I just put my voice up on it. Now I'm going to put it up online. I can't tell them if they're going to get sued or not. I don't know. But Toyota may know.
Right.
Did you call Toyota and ask them if it was okay? Because they're the ones that are coming after you, not me. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. Whoever made that commercial is the one that's coming after you. So, like if I get asked this question all the time: is it okay? I don't know if it's okay. No, it's not okay. Toyota can come after you. Are they going to come after me? I don't know. I don't know. So, people want me. They'll come to me and ask me for my advice. And they really want me to put my rubber stamp of approval on it. Which I can't do because
you're not
it's just the law. Yeah, I'm not the one. It was just kind of like exclusivity. You were talking about that earlier. It's the same issue. So if you have a commercial running for Coke and then Pepsi says they want to hire you, but they want you to be exclusive, right? So Pepsi's the one that has to say it's okay or not, whether they care if you have a Coke commercial running. They're the only ones that can answer that question. They're the only person in the entire universe. So when I see people posting those questions up on Facebook, I'm like, okay, great. You got my opinion, you got your opinion, but it doesn't matter what we say. There's only one person that matters, and that's Pepsi. They have to say, we don't care. You have a Coke commercial, no problem. We'll still hire you. Right? So it's the same thing with this. Same thing with if the only person in the whole world that it matters to answer this question is the person that's video you're using. Right? So
makes sense.
It's much better just to you could just go get B-roll. You go buy it online. Just B-roll all over the place of a truck going down the street.
Right.
And just, writing some copy and throwing it up there and doing it. It's much, you're not going to get in trouble that way. You're not going to get sued that way.
Right.
So
makes sense. Yeah.
And you are allowed to use the copy that you are allowed to use. So if you wrote down the copy of something that you see on the internet or whatever, you use that to record, that's not a problem.
Oh, okay.
That's already been tested. That is considered fair use. Courts have already said that. So that's not a problem. So you can you can say the names.
That's good to know. Yeah.
Well, that's
you can
really
say
good.
Toyota, you can say Coke,
Yeah,
you can say Pepsi, because it's not trademark infringement. That's also been tested. So
yeah, good to know.
You can't use the logos.
Right.
So you put the logo in the corner.
Yeah.
Then that is infringement.
Makes sense. It does make sense. It does. We've hit on a lot of that stuff. Let's turn back the clock and let's talk about how you, and I know I have heard or read some things about how you wanted to be an actor, how you wanted to do these other things, and you end up being an attorney. And it's funny because it probably somewhere in my 30s or 40s, I thought, man, my dad offered to put me through law school. Why didn't I go? Because I loved it. I really loved it, but I didn't. I wanted to get married and do the other things, and I did them. But anyway, my thing when I was a kid was I got my first cassette recorder somewhere around 7 or 8, and I started mimicking the radio. I started mimicking the Atlanta Braves games, the Milo Hamilton and Ernie Johnson, or mimicking the commercials and recording them and listening back to them. And then it became, well, I think I want to go into radio. And then I go to college and I'm like, gosh, they don't make any money. I can't do this. I'm going to get a business degree. I'm going to do this. And then later, you end up in a career and you do what you do. But you were able to go back and grab that love of what you do and do it. So tell us how all that evolved and transformed for you.
Sure. I mean, first of all, I'm glad that I went to law school because I realized that with a law degree, you can do so many different things. I mean, there's so many avenues. And in a way, the law degree kind of opened up a lot of the doors I have right now in the entertainment field because, I realized now, I realized a while ago, that lawyers really run the entertainment field, right? It's all based on law. It's all based on contracts. It's all based on licensing. It's all based on sync licenses. It's all based, on reviewing copy. All lawyers run them. They run the.
Yeah.
They run everything. Copyright law.
Mm-hmm.
So it opens up. You get to meet a lot of people in the business, and you get to talk to a lot of people and pick their brains. So I'm glad I became an attorney. I'm still glad. That's why I still practice, because I do a lot of entertainment law, because it really goes hand in hand with the other side of it, the entertainment side. But it's different because you're using the other side of your brain. It's it's the business logic side versus the creative side.
Mm-hmm.
Left versus
So
right.
yeah, exactly. But I always liked creative writing, and I always liked singing, and I always liked doing creative things. So that's why I decided I wanted to try voiceover. And the way I found it, I just saw an adult education class that was being given locally here, and I was just like, that looks cool. I'm going to try it out. I didn't really even know what voiceover was when I took the class. I really thought voiceover was cartoons.
Sure.
That was what I had associated with. I didn't know any other thing beside cartoons. So, it really opened my eyes, and it definitely appealed to the creative side of me.
Mm-hmm.
So I pursued it. I decided I'm going to pursue this. I took some classes. I did my demo, and then the first gig I landed was a PBS national documentary on the American Experience TV show. I went up to Broadway Sound, where they do Saturday Night Live post 30 Rock.
Oh, dude!
Yeah,
I was in that studio there, and Campbell Scott was the narrator for the particular episode, and then I did a couple of the foreign voice dubs. So it was about the original hijackings of the planes, like before 9/11, back in the 70s, when they hijacked them and had them on different runways, and they blew them up.
Mm-hmm.
So I had done like a French Red Cross person and one of the pilots. A couple of voices that I just did turn their whatever they're speaking. I dubbed over in English. So
right.
Oh, okay.
That was my first.
That was your first gig, and you're
my
going
first
to
gig ever
over there. Wow,
That's
dude,
funny.
that's amazing.
That is amazing.
So then I realized, wait a minute, this is not how all voiceover jobs are.
Right.
I thought that's how. I was like, oh, this is cool. This is how all they're all supposed to be.
Yeah.
But then I realized, wait a minute, this is that I realized how unusual it was. So,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't start off as an entertainment lawyer, right?
I did. Well, when I first started in practice, I did music. I represented musicians. I represented bands. So
nice.
That was some of the first clients that I had were musicians.
Do you still have any of those clients? I know musicians don't tend to stay together always, but I mean individually maybe? No?
Yeah, I mean I still have them as clients, but they're not really doing a lot of music stuff anymore.
Okay.
But they come to me occasionally. But the music business has changed so much since from then to now. Like completely different.
Oh yeah,
completely different business. In fact, it's what the transition for film is going through right now.
Yeah.
Same thing where you have all the streamers, so you can put things out independently on your own. You don't need a big label. You don't need a big studio to back you. That's how it was back then. It was all the studios, all the big recording labels. If you didn't get signed to a big recording label and you went indie, forget about it. You were never getting on the radio, and no one would listen to you. Now you can just go on to Spotify or Apple Music or one of the million platforms, and you can get on there and be heard, and get a million or million hits, million listens. It's so much different now than it was back then. So
how rapidly are things changing, and what's it like having to keep up with changes like that, like in the internet? I imagine is there like a source that you have to check maybe once a week, once a month or something, just to make sure you're up to date on everything, or is it just kind of like
there's no one source. There's cases that I subscribe to, so I get when a case comes down, I'll get a notification that I read it. Really, just if you hook up to Apple News or Google, you'll keep on top of a lot of the stuff that's going on.
Okay,
so
true.
Kind of set your filters or whatever. Make sure you're getting that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you just put down. I'll go on Apple News and I subscribe to it, so that when a news story hits, I get a notification on my phone. And a lot of the Apple News stuff relates to technology. So like all the lawsuits for the AI.
Yeah.
Like the authors and the artists, the painters, they're suing, and the photographers, they brought those class actions against OpenAI. for generative AI.
Right.
That kind of stuff. I learned that through Apple News. I'll just get a pop up, and then I'll go, if I want to research it more, I'll go actually look for the court case and read it.
I sat in a thing earlier in 2023, like probably the beginning of that. I took Paul Schmidt's course and he has weekly meetings with his people and whatnot. And in one of those, he had his entertainment attorney in there, and AI was obviously brought up. And this was actually not long after ChatGPT was like a thing, like became a thing. And she had said, the law hadn't really caught up with AI and stuff like, people's stuff being stolen. Because of how rapid that's kind of grown, is the law still catching up? I mean, I guess it's always going to always try to be catching up because of how rapid things are improving and changing and what their capabilities, AI's capabilities is, right?
Yeah, they just passed a law very, very recently because the politicians were all worried about getting deep faked.
Oh, well, that is scary.
So that's why they passed the law. But it's more, the law that they passed is for more people swiping somebody's voice and using it, like that for a deep fake for a politician, or for, like when you get the spam calls or scam calls that your kid's talking to you, telling you to send money because they're kidnapped, and that's an AI voice. So like that's what the laws, that's what it's more geared toward now.
Right.
So it's going to filter down to the artists soon, but they're not really, that's a secondary side issue right now for the
right.
For
because people in power that actually could pull something in their way, those are the ones they're worrying about being copied.
Well, they're worried about the more general public.
So
they're worried more about people that, like some innocent person that gets their voice stolen, and then some scammer empties out their bank.
Right. That makes sense.
Or a politician, he's just hanging out, and all of a sudden he's online giving a speech talking about Hitler or something. You know what I mean? Like, they're concerned about that,
right?
Because they're more innocent victims. Like for us, like we have more control over where our work goes. Like that's why we have the writers. That's why we have contracts. So we have a little more control.
Yeah, we're expected to know a little better,
right?
I guess.
And that's not that we know better. It's just that we have more. We can remedy it more.
Makes sense.
What I mean?
Yep.
If someone steals our voice and we're a victim like everybody else, that's different.
Sure.
But our work is different. Our work is different than just our everyday voice.
Right.
So,
right. Absolutely. Yeah. What is your work balance like between the lawyering and voiceover and acting?
Yeah.
How do you balance all that?
It's all blended together. It really is all blended together. So
constantly doing it.
It's just like, even when I'm practicing law, most of the time it's entertainment related. It's voiceover related. It's acting related. It's film, because I produce films too. And I represent filmmakers. So most of it is that. I do workers' comp. I do real estate. I do taxes. A lot of times they're for artists. That I'm doing that stuff for.
All ties really, together.
Workers' comp and personal injury is really the only stuff that's not, that's outside the entertainment business completely.
Right.
But then, like yesterday, I got an email. Are you around next week? We want you to voice a national commercial. Yes, for one of my clients. So awesome. No problem. I'm around. They're checking to see if I'm around or I'm going away. But that happens every day. It's it depends on if it's coming from a talent that wants me to review a contract, or if it's somebody that wants me to voice something, or it's a filmmaker. Like actually I had got and the same thing happened yesterday from a filmmaker. They wanted me to set up an LLC for them. For the film that they're making. So like it's so combined now that it's like I can't separate it even if I tried. So it's probably like 80% entertainment stuff, which includes the law mixed in, and 20% all just completely law.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. You just have to keep a nice tight calendar and balance and juggle, and that's all you can do.
You've been doing it for so long, you probably got it down to
second nature.
Your kind of science kind of thing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Because I prioritize it. Because there's, sometimes stuff comes in that is, it's just going to be a time suck. So I know that right away that this is going to take too much time. It's and then when it takes too much time, even if it was a project I wanted to do and it was free, if it takes too much time, I can't make money on the other stuff that I'm giving up the time for. And that's where it's the issue, because that's where it affects me paying my bills.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's not that I don't like to do free stuff. It's an economic necessity.
Yeah.
Right.
And if I take it, if it's something quick, no problem. But if it's something that's going to take time, then it has to really be something that I'm really passionate about, and then I have to budget for it.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I know I'm going to lose a certain percentage of income, so I got to budget for that so that I pay my bills.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know Rob helped me a while back. I had my first management contract, and I was naive with it. I really didn't know that much about what to look for, and he went. And of course, it helped that he knew the person it came from, and he was able to run through that and quickly get it back to me and tell me, maybe take this out or maybe question this. And it was great. It was a great process. I know he helps a lot of people like that, and we'll get into. Here in just a second, we'll get into how to reach out and get to him. We also want to talk a little bit more about the book, VoiceOver Legal. I know it's available on Amazon, but you also have a website where you can go into a PDF download, I think.
Yep. So Amazon's got the electronic version.
Oh, nice.
So you can get the Kindle version or the e-version. But if you go to voiceoverlegal.com, you can get it paperback. So
cool.
A lot of people
I have a
paperback.
paperback version of it.
Cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
actually, I ran into you at One Voice. I think I was volunteering there. I was checking people's badges every time they were going into a session, and I looked up when I scanned yours, and I just said, "I have your book," and you were like, "Oh, cool." I was like, "I'm sure," and I think I even said, "I'm pretty sure everybody here probably has your book." So,
yeah, it's cool. I love when people say they have the book. It's awesome.
oh yeah,
So-
for sure. Well, it's a great book to have. Good resource.
Yeah, for
Thanks.
sure,
Of
for
course,
sure.
man.
So we picked up on that part. Now, Rob, if somebody does have something they need you to review, they want to work with you on getting contracts or getting things done, what's the easiest way to reach out to you?
Easiest way is by email. So robscig@usa.net,
Okay.
or they can go to my website, robscigesq.com.
Okay. And you're in several of the Facebook groups, so if they happen to see you there, they could probably at least ping you there if they didn't get the information here. You're just a wonderful resource. I appreciate, the time you spent on the little item that I had. Appreciate everything you do for the industry. I think we've been educated today. We've learned a little more about Rob and his VO career, because I bet a lot of people, when they see him, they think, "Hey, that's the VO lawyer," and they don't really realize this guy's he's also a VO and an actor, and has got some really cool credits to his work. Go look at his website and look at some of the stuff he's done. It's very interesting, and I was just impressed too that he's a ball player. It's nice to have some fellow ball players around.
Just a well-rounded guy.
I still play. Like I said,
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Four softball teams.
That's
Holy
awesome.
crap, man.
That's awesome.
I manage the SAG-AFTRA team in Central Park.
Oh, do you really?
I pitch. So
That's amazing.
That is neat. That is neat. That's awesome.
Cool.
Well, thanks so much, Rob. We don't want to tie you up because I know that calendar's tight, and we do really appreciate the time spent with us, and wish you all the best on the VO career side and the acting side. And we're sure that the legal will continue, because there's so many of us out there getting in and out of the business and need the advice. So thanks for that. Alden, Jake, any last things for Rob?
I just really wanted to. Yeah, it's been definitely educational. What was it like when you saw your Super Bowl commercial for the first time?
Oh, that's a great question, because it was so exciting.
I'm sure.
You guys have a couple more minutes? I could tell you the story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it'll show why it was so exciting. So when I had shot that commercial, I had done a play with the woman who played my wife in that commercial, Jamie Keohane, and she had just texted me one day, and she's like, "Do you want to be my husband?" That's what the text said. And I wrote back, and I'm like, I'm married, right? And she's like, "Yes." God, she's like, she got mad. She's like, "Yes, I know you're married. I'm talking about doing a commercial." She was joking around. So I was like, "Yes." Then I asked her what it was for, and she told me it was for this commercial. It was going to be a spec it was a commercial that was going to the London. If they got picked, it was going to the London Film Festival. It was going to be played in the London Film Festival. So I looked up the kid's work, and I was like, "This kid's great. Yeah, I want to do this." So it was a spec thing. It wasn't even pay. I signed that if we got, if it went anywhere, I would get paid. It would go SAG, whatever. So Chevy. It was for Chevy. They saw the commercial and they took it out. They pulled it from the London Film Fest. They said we're going to put it into our Super Bowl contest.
Oh my gosh.
So it was like a contest. It was like a Doritos type of thing.
Yeah,
so
yeah. I understood actually.
So people were voting for it, and there was so much buzz about it, and it won.
That's amazing.
So then when the commercial came out, it aired. They surprised us. And they put it on the NFC championship game a week before the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So that's when it first aired, and no one knew that it was going to be airing there. So we all went, we went crazy. We went nuts.
Course.
And and it was huge because it was like everyone kind of whoever voted for it felt like they had a piece. They had a stake in it. So that's why it was so exciting. And then the following week, the sponsor of the contest threw a party in New York City. So we went down and we premiered the commercial, at this restaurant where they did the party. So.
That's amazing, man. That's
That
got to
is
be
very
a cool experience to have, the way the process of it getting to the Super Bowl alone.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's amazing, man. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Yeah, I was excited because one guy here in my town sent me a message after the Super Bowl and said, "Hey, I think I heard you on TV after the Super Bowl." And I'm like, "Yeah, you did," but that was it. One guy.
Yeah, well, that's how I knew it aired on the NFC Championship game because my phone was blowing up. I'm like, what's going on here?
Oh, man.
And then there's I got 30 messages. We just saw you on the NFC. We just saw you on the. I was like, dog.
That's great.
It was great. It was crazy.
Man. That's great. That's great. That is so awesome. I love hearing that stuff. Catching the stuff in the wild, nothing like it.
Oh, I know.
Well, again, Rob, thank you so much. And for people to reach out, we've dropped the information there. We'll also put it in the show notes. That way, if you want to reach out and you have things to ask him about, he's just fantastic to get back to you. A busy guy. Give him a minute, but he'll get back to you. And
I also have another thing that I'd like to talk about if I could, because it's a way for people to get a hold of me. It's a new thing I just started. 100%. I started a membership program for people, for artists, voiceover artists, business owners. It's called Attorney on Demand. You can go to www.attyondemand.com and $74 a month. You get all the questions you want answered during a month. You get free contract review. You get a free contract template. You get discounts on LLCs and trademarks and copyrights.
That's amazing.
That's a great idea.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's been it's been popular so far, and it's just a way for me to get more people that can use my services, and it's good for both of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What was that one more time? What's the website one more time?
Attorney on Demand, www.attyondemand.com.
Excellent. Okay.
Great. What a great domain to wrap up to.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great one. Rob, thanks again. Happy holidays. This probably won't air until probably right after the first of the year, but want to wish you happy holidays and thank you again for your time. We greatly, greatly appreciate it.
We do.
Thank you.
Yep, very much.
Thanks for having
me.
Absolutely.
You've been listening to It's Another VO Podcast. I'm Alden Schenneberg.
And I'm Jake the Snake.
No, you are not. Settle down.
All right. I'm Jake Sanders.
And I'm Troy Holden.
Join us weekly as we spill the beans about our challenges being full-time struggling voice actors.
Yeah, and by the way, my girlfriend says you two better get it together, because she doesn't want me carrying you two on this podcast.
Saith the voiceover rookie himself. But be sure and join us on the next episode, because I guarantee it, Jake will do something worth hearing.
And what do you mean by that? No, really, what does that mean?
Dude, let it go. It's all right. It's all right.
Hey, where are you guys going? Hey, don't you kill the feed. Don't you dare kill the feed. Hey, where are you going, Alden? Troy, what are you... Come back!